So I'd like to share with you the lesson I created for Core 3 Personalization. One of my biggest takeaways from this core was that by providing students with choices, they'll take responsibility for their own learning, and that's what personalization really is all about. So I have chosen a lesson on the gas laws. This would be covered midway through the semester, and it's set up as a module. The first page in the module would be just some objectives. And then the second page is called Preparing for Class. So I'm going to click on that. And the first thing that students will do is complete a gases pre-check. This is a 6-question quiz. It's a practice quiz, so they don't get a grade for doing it. I ask them not to look up any answers. It's to give me some data on what they already know about gases and the gas laws, and it's to help them identify what they know and what they don't know, and that will guide them in going through the rest of the resources. So they'll do that, and then they'll watch these 2 video knowledge checks. I've included an outline of the unit or of the lesson so that they can take notes if they choose to. But the video knowledge checks are done using Canvas Studio, and I use them in quite a few of my units. They're basically a narrated PowerPoint that go over the topics and concepts that I think are really important. And so that might be a 10 to 15 minute video with 5 to 10 questions, and they get a homework grade for doing that. And that way, before they come to class, they have some prior knowledge of what we're going to talk about in class. And then to give them some choices, I've included some additional resources. So this is a link to their textbook. This is the chapter on gases in their textbook. We use an open educational resource for the textbook. And then this is a link to some tutorials, which are problems that they can solve online, and they submit their answer. They get an immediate response, whether it's right or wrong. If they can get feedback, they can get a link to some resources that will help them to understand the concept better. And there are tutorials on a lot of things. So they would do the gas law tutorials. And then I've included some additional videos. There are some videos on YouTube that I found, some different people who publish them that I think are useful and that the students really like. So I have, and it's just a different explanation than I would give in class. So then the next thing that the students would do is they would come to class, and I would go through some demonstrations of how to solve gas law problems, and then they'll get together in groups and they will solve some more problems on their own and with their group. And they'll work together, that way they can help one another. And then the next thing that I would assign to them is this discussion. Now, I set it up as a discussion, but if I had time in class and if the class was smaller, I may choose for them to present these in class. But what I'm going to do is assign each of them a different gas law. There are about 8 or 9 gas laws that we talk about. And gas laws have a lot of practical applications. So I'll assign each student a different gas law, and then they will have to find a practical application of that law. They can demonstrate a practical application, or they can find an example in their everyday life. And the way that they present that application is up to them. So I said examples that they can use would be they can take pictures, they can produce a video, they can do a PowerPoint, or create a poster. And then they'll either do this as a discussion. So then they'll have to, once they reply, or once they create a post, they'll have to read and reply to at least 3 other students. And then the last thing that they'll do in this module is I will give them a quiz. And all of my quizzes are take-home, so they can do the quiz using whatever resources they want. And then when they come to class next, they should have the quiz completed, and I'll let them get into their groups again and share their quiz answers with their group members. And so then if two people get different answers, they can talk about, explain to each other how they did the problem, and hopefully come to a consensus on how they think the problem should be solved. And so that is the lesson that I created on gases and the gas laws.